Discover how a broke kid overcame rejection to build an incredible Walmart empire in just 7 years. Caleb Thompson peered from his trailer, the sun blazing overhead like a spotlight on a stage where he'd yet to perform. He was only 15, but the boys at school had already labeled him the broke kid, a title that stung like a wasp. Laughter filled the air as kids rushed to the fair. But for Caleb, the joy felt distant. His family, once middle class, now defined by struggle, had instilled in him unwavering values, hard work, and loyalty to community. Today, he was determined to chase something bigger. Setting up his lemonade stand was his first step. With each glass poured, Caleb's heart raced. The sugary concoction was a blend of simple ingredients, a reminder of his dreams. Each cup a drop of hope in a parched world. Children dashed by, joy lighting their faces, while behind them, shadows of doubt whispered that he'd never fit in. But the smiles he received were like warm sunbeams, washing over him, sparking threads of belonging that tugged at his heart. Then, disaster struck. A storm unleashed fury upon his neighborhood. A tempest that swept through his craft supplies the little treasures he toiled to create for the upcoming market. Caleb stood amidst the wreckage, tears blurring his vision as he felt despair. Moments before, he had been filled with ambition. Now he felt like a candle snuffed out by the wind. Just as he considered giving up, the echo of his grandfather's voice filled his mind. The stoic words of a Vietnam veteran who had fought not just for country, but for family and integrity, surged within him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Inspired, Caleb envisioned an online business, creative expressions that could shine beyond the confines of his surroundings. He poured his soul into it, turning every stitch and click into a stepping stone. The exhilaration was potent, a spark of life igniting hopes long buried under the weight of not enough. Yet, just as success loomed, a rival entrepreneur emerged from the shadows, launching a toxic smear campaign to undermine Caleb. Just a broke kid trying to play big, they whisper. Each word cut deep, and for a moment, doubt clawed at him. Should he lash out or rise above the drama? His grandfather's face flashed in his mind, strong, unwavering, a man who fought through adversity. At the local business expo, Caleb stood before a crowd that had begun to rally around him, a swirl of familiar faces, neighbors who believed in him. They demanded justice, igniting a fire within Caleb he hadn't known existed. He could feel his heart pounding, adrenaline rushing. This was his moment, his defining choice, becoming the hero of his own story or allowing the dark side of vengeance to swallow him whole. He squared his shoulders, knowing the spotlight was brighter than ever. Could this broke kid truly redefine success and show everyone that dreams are worth fighting for? The answer seemed just out of reach, draped in a shroud of uncertainty. But Caleb felt the world tuning in, waiting for him to make his stand. The crowd was a mixture of anticipation and skepticism, faces painted with curiosity. Caleb's heart raced, each beat echoing in his ears as he stepped forward. He could feel the energy pulsing, electric like the surge before a thunderstorm. This was it. He was ready to show them who he really was. Taking a deep breath, Caleb cleared his throat. I may not have much, but I have a vision. His voice wavered at first, but he pushed through. I believe dreams can rise from the ashes. I'm not just here to sell lemonade or trinkets. I want to build something for all of us. We can do this together. There was a murmur among the crowd. Some whispered encouragement, while others remained doubtful. He could see the rival entrepreneur lurking across the room, arms crossed, a smirk on his face like a wolf eyeing a wounded sheep. Caleb gathered the energy around him, unwilling to let fear navigate his course. He continued, I want to create a platform where everyone's ideas matter. It doesn't matter if you're a kid, an adult, or just starting out. We all have something to bring to the table. I'm not just a broke kid, I'm Caleb Thompson, and I can make this happen. His conviction rang through the air. Each word held more weight, fueled by purpose. The crowd shifted, some faces softening. Caleb noticed the involuntary nods. They were listening. For every stranger leaning in, it felt like a tether tightening around him. He spoke about the coming together of community, the strength in collaboration. With every line, he found clarity in his thoughts, reinforcing his belief that they could push through their struggles together. Huge claps began to break through the quiet. Parents cheered, kids shouted their enthusiasm, and slowly, Caleb felt an overwhelming tide of support building behind him. The smirk on his rival's face began to falter. Just then, someone stepped out from the crowd, a woman with a determined gaze. As she approached, Caleb braced himself for anything. "Caleb," she called, "I've watched you chase your dreams. I see something in you that I haven't seen in a long time, a willingness to fight for yourself and others." A hush fell over the room as all eyes turned to her. "Let me help you," she said, extending her hand boldly. "I'm an investor, and I believe in your vision for a community marketplace. This could be where we lift each other up, not tear each other down." Caleb's breath caught in his throat. He felt an unexpected swell of emotion as he took her hand, sealing an agreement that could change everything. A gust of energy shot through him like fire, filling him with a trembling hope he dared not fully embrace. As they turned to face the audience together, Caleb felt uplifted, the support of his community around him. No longer just the broke kid, he was now standing as a symbol of what potential could look like even in the face of rejection. But before he could celebrate, the rival entrepreneur stepped forward, malice etched into his cautious glare. "You think this is over? You're just getting started, kid. We'll see whose dreams hold weight in this town." A chill ran through the crowd. Caleb's heart raced again, knowing this was only the beginning. The battle line had been drawn, and he was ready to embrace whatever came next as the buzz of excitement hung in the air. With the promise of new possibilities, Caleb felt the weight of destiny pressing down on him. He needed to prepare. He had a chance now, his dreams were in reach, but the real challenge was just about to begin. Would he rise to face the fiercest storm yet and finally transform himself into the leader he longed to be? Caleb stood at the center of the gathering, pulsing with adrenaline. He could still hear the rival's taunt echoing in his mind. The thrill of support blended with the taste of competition, creating a fire within him. He was no longer just a dreamer, he was a player in this game. "Let us plan," the investor said, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "We need to gather ideas, figure out what the community wants, and then turn that into a viable business." The crowd buzzed with excitement. Ideas began to flow, with parents suggesting a farmer's market, teens wanting a space for music shows, and kids imagining art contests. Caleb could hardly keep up. It was like being in the midst of a tornado, but a tornado filled with hope. A volunteer team started forming, people stepping up to help plan the details. Caleb felt the warmth of camaraderie surrounding him. This was what he had envisioned, a web of connections where each person mattered. Yet amongst the joyful chatter, Caleb couldn't shake the image of his rival's smirk from his mind. How far would he go to sabotage Caleb's dream? Later that night, as he lay in bed, the uncertainties clawed at him. Doubts are sly creatures. They creep in quietly, and before you know it, they've taken up residence in your mind. Caleb turned and tossed, wrestling with a wave of anxiety. What if he failed? What if disappointment was the only thing he brought back to the community? Just as he began to feel overwhelmed, he recalled the investor's words. "I see something in you." Moored by her encouragement, he took a deep breath. He knew he couldn't allow negativity to drown him. Instead, he had to rally his strengths and goals, like a ship navigating through a storm. The next morning, Caleb was filled with determination. He sat down with the investor, now an unofficial mentor, and laid out a plan. They would hold a community meeting to showcase everyone's ideas, making sure each voice was heard. They talked over coffees and notepads, sketching rough outlines of how the marketplace would take shape. Ideas transformed into tangible plans with each stroke of his pencil. The days rolled by, filled with preparations and excitement. Posters went up, social media buzzed, and flyers were handed out. Caleb was on a mission. But no sooner had the details been finalized than he caught wind of his rival's scheme. A friend whispered to him about whispers of sabotage. He's telling people it's a scam, Caleb. He wants to turn the community against you. Caleb's stomach nodded. Anger mingled with dread. This was exactly what he feared, the strikes before the first light. But instead of despair, he felt a surge of resolve. He couldn't let this setback define his journey. He knew the community needed this platform, and he had to fight for it. The night of the big meeting arrived. Everyone gathered in the community hall. The place was electric with energy, and Caleb could see familiar faces, all eager to share their vision. With the smell of excitement hanging in the air, he stepped up to the podium, his heart pounding in rhythm with the crowd. "Tonight we stand together," he declared, his voice booming, confidence flooding him. "We can lift each other up. We can create space for every idea, every dream, not just my vision, but our vision. And nobody can take that away from us." Cheers erupted, but amidst the excitement, he noticed his rival lurking at the back, arms crossed. The determination in Caleb's heart grew stronger. What would he say when the rival confronted him again? Just as he felt the tide of energy, an uneasy silence fell over the room. The rival was rising, taking steps toward the front. Caleb's stomach dropped. He had seen this coming, but now the moment had arrived. What's his next move? Caleb thought as the tension crackled in the air. Caleb's heart raced as he faced his rival. The room held its breath. A flicker of uncertainty crossed Caleb's mind, but he brushed it away like the dust from old shoes. This was his moment. He couldn't let fear control him, not now when the stakes felt this high. The rival strode to the front, a smug grin painted on his face. "So, you think you can just parade your little plans around and people will believe you? This community doesn't need more empty promises. It needs someone who will deliver," he sneered, each word like a sharp jab meant to provoke doubt. Caleb swallowed hard, forcing the biting words back down. He could almost hear the low murmur of anxiety rippling through the crowd, but he steadied himself. "I know what this community needs, and I see it in each of your faces," he shot back, his voice steadier than he felt. "We need a place to gather, to share, to dream together. This isn't about making promises. It's about creating real opportunities." The crowd stirred, a wave of supportive murmurs lifting Caleb's spirits. He locked eyes with his mentor, who nodded encouragingly from the back. Each time Caleb spoke, he could feel the pulse of unity building around him, pushing back against his rival's venomous words. "Really?" The rival laughed, crossing his arms tightly. "And what happens when you can't deliver? When it all falls apart? You'll take down everyone with you." Caleb's breath hitched for a moment. The thought glimmered like a knife's edge in his mind. But as quickly as fear crept in, he cast it aside. "I won't be alone. We go into this together, as a community. We don't just need leadership, we need each other." "Are you really saying you don't believe in us?" The crowd reacted, a ripple of excitement sweeping through the room, hearts thumping in unison. "We believe," shouted a voice from the front, then another, and soon others joined in, drowning out the shadows of doubt. Caleb felt a warmth blossom in his chest, pushing back the creeping chill of rebellion. But just as triumph sparked, the rival attempted to regain control, thrusting his arm outward as if to dismiss the energy. "You're about to find out just how weak your plans really are. I'm not going anywhere, Caleb. I'll make sure everyone knows this is just a childish fantasy." Caleb felt an electric surge of determination ignite within him. "If you want to spread negativity, that's on you. But know this, I will not let your doubt dim our light. We will prove you wrong together. If you're here to divide us, you will only strengthen our resolve." With that declaration, Caleb reached out to the crowd, inviting them to voice their ideas and hopes. The energy was palpable. He could feel it thrumming through the air, almost like a heartbeat. People began to rise, sharing their stories, their excitement, and their dreams for the marketplace Caleb envisioned. The rival shifted uncomfortably, his bravado wavering in the face of collective hope. Caleb noticed the way the tension broke, the way people smiled and cheered. He knew he had sparked something within them, but his rival's presence still loomed over the meeting as the crowd came alive. Caleb caught sight of his rival's jaw tighten. Would he concede, or would the confrontation escalate further? Caleb held his breath, anticipation thick in the air. The moment felt pivotal, yet undeniably fragile. Would Caleb's spark of resilience be enough to overcome the rival's shadow? Or was this just the beginning of a much larger fight for his vision? The room buzzed with enthusiasm, yet Caleb couldn't shake the feeling that this was far from over. Caleb felt the energy in the room crackling like static electricity, electrifying every corner. Voices rose, overlapping in a passionate chorus, but behind the excitement, he sensed uncertainty still lurking. The rival's smirk was just a mask for the desperation bubbling beneath the surface. If there was one thing Caleb knew, it was that fear could breed resistance. "Let us hear them," Caleb encouraged, raising his arms in an inviting gesture, as if he could embrace the crowd's doubts and turn them into fuel. A woman with a hopeful gleam in her eye stood up, her voice quivering slightly but full of emotion. "I want a place where my kids can learn and play, where we can lift each other up." "Yes, exactly," Caleb exclaimed, a rush of inspiration flowing through him. "Together, we'll support one another. Imagine the possibilities." The crowd erupted once again, eyes brightening with dreams long held back. Caleb felt strong foundations beginning to take shape beneath his feet. Yet through the cheers, the rival's icy chuckle cut through. "Do you really think they're going to trust a boy with nothing? What happens when you fail? It's not just your dream on the line." Caleb squared his shoulders, heart pounding in his chest. Failure is part of growth. None of us achieve success without it. But it's how we rise together that matters. His voice rang clear, confident, and the crowd was swayed. Yet Caleb sensed the rival shifting, searching for a crack in his armor. "I bet you won't be able to keep this energy up when the reality hits. People will start turning on you. And then what?" The moment hung thick with tension. Caleb's mind raced, filled with potent images of members from the community cheering him on, united under a shared purpose. "What do you all think?" he asked, turning toward the crowd, searching for that familiar warmth in their eyes. A man from the back shouted, "I believe in the dream. We're tired of stagnation. We want this change." Others echoed him, voices rising in a harmonious symphony of support. But the rival wasn't backing down. "You think those voices will be enough? Just wait until reality knocks on your door. Let it come." Caleb shot back, feeling an unbearable weight lift off his shoulders. "We are ready. We've been waiting for this moment because dreams aren't built on solitude, they're built on unity. Together, we'll face anything." The words spilled from his heart, igniting the room even further. Caleb noticed the rival's bravado start to fray, the sneer barely holding, and he pressed on. "Nobody has to face their shadows alone. We'll be there for each other when those tough moments come. That's the foundation of our vision." The tide was turning. Caleb could feel it, the way the audience's faces softened, hope blooming in the spaces previously filled with doubt. But then the rival, desperate and cornered, spat back with resentment. "Hope is not a strategy. You can't build anything on fairy tales. Maybe you've never seen dreams take shape." Caleb shot back, surprise fueling his voice. "But I've seen dreams spark into realities when people rise together. Just look around." This fired-up declaration ignited a wave of cheers, claps, and shouts of encouragement that washed over him like a warm tide. Caleb's heart soared, but still, that nagging feeling at the back of his mind remained. What if his rival had a point? What if, once the dust settled and reality hit, his dream crumbled? Just then, the rival lunged forward. "You stand on shaky ground. Caleb, this is far from over." Caleb caught his breath at the impending storm. Voices began to clash again, igniting polarized feelings within the room. As he stood there, ready to battle for a vision under siege, He realized this was just the beginning. What lies ahead for Caleb? Will the community stand by him when the ground shakes? Or will doubt pull them apart? The fight for the dream was reaching new heights, and Caleb could feel the wind shift as he prepared for what was to come. Caleb's chest rose and fell in steady rhythm, the fire inside him igniting even brighter. As the crowd around him swelled with support, he peered into the sea of faces, seeking the strength in their unity. Yet, in the midst of their reinforced hope, dread curled in his stomach like a tight knot. Could they really carry this momentum forward? Come on, everyone, he rallied, igniting the energy. This is about more than just me. It's about all of us. We each have a role to play, a piece of the puzzle to put together. Cheers erupted, their collective voice rising to fill the cracks the rival had carved. But Caleb sensed the storm brewing. The glint in the rival's eyes sharpened, and he felt a chill skate down his spine. He renewed his resolve, scanning for the doubters, hoping to transform unease into determination. Let us show him what we're made of, Caleb cried out, urging the crowd, channeling the whispers of doubt into roaring declarations. We come from all walks of life, but together, we can build something amazing, something that lasts. Who's with me? A chorus of yes echoed as hands shot up. It was beautiful, infectious, a moment of pure unity. But Caleb wasn't naive. Satisfaction could unravel quickly. Amidst the facilitators of hope, he recalled those still sitting quietly, their eyes downcast, shadows lingering on their hearts as if sensing his thoughts. His rival stepped in with a mocking tone, lifting each other up. Huh? But when push comes to shove, will you? When the bills pile up and hope runs thin. Caleb's heart raced. The doubt in his chest danced dangerously close to victory. He needed something bold, something profound to keep the thrill alive. Together, we're more than individuals facing a tough world. We become heroes. The crowd pulsed with enthusiasm. But Caleb saw a woman, a single mother, biting her lip, staring at the ground. He moved toward her, consciously lowering his voice, speaking only to her. What do you need to feel safe to dream? She glanced up, vulnerability shimmering in her eyes. I just want a future for my kids, a place they can grow. The urgency in her voice sent a shiver through him. Caleb felt the weight of their shared hopes and fears. He turned, addressing everyone once more. That's what we're fighting for. Let us create a community where dreams flourish. The atmosphere sparked, but as cheers erupted, the rival struck again, voice dripping with cynicism. Dreams don't buy groceries. Wake up before it's too late. Reality isn't just about facing walls. Caleb shot back. It's about breaking them down together. He could see the tension shift. Walls started to crack. Suddenly, whispers erupted as several people recounted personal stories of struggle and resilience. A man spoke of losing his job and finding hope in community support. A teenager vowed to lend his tech skills for the project. And the mother finally stood, tears of gratitude shimmering unashamedly. Together, we are unstoppable. Caleb felt the room swell around him like a wave. This wasn't just about him anymore. They all carried a piece of each other's dreams. Just then, the rival stepped closer, fury swirling in his eyes. You may speak of dreams, but let us see if this vision survives the test of doubt. The challenge hung heavy in the air, a tolling bell summoning uncertainty. Caleb met the gaze of his newfound allies, determination igniting within him. The fight was not just for his dream. It was for all of them, and he would not back down. With renewed conviction, Caleb turned back to the crowd. Doubt may loom, but our strength will outshine it. Are you with me? In unison they shouted back, yes. But as he looked out, a flicker of fear crept into his mind. Was this enough? Would their voices hold when true adversity struck? That thought lingered, swirling like smoke. Would they still stand together when the shadows grew long? The intimacy of their unity glowed brightly, yet Caleb could feel the storm still brewing on the horizon, shaking the ground beneath him. Would they weather the coming challenges, or would the forces arrayed against them tear apart the fragile threads of hope they had woven together? The hour of reckoning awaited, and Caleb stood on the precipice, heart pounding with the weight of their collective dreams. But deep down, he felt it. The moment of truth was approaching, undeniable and inevitable. Caleb stood on the brink of that gnawing doubt, hands trembling slightly at his sides. The energy in the room pulsed, but beneath the cheers, he could sense an undercurrent of anxiety. Fear was contagious. He watched it flicker across faces like shadows cast by the flickering flames of their hopes. Okay, we need to dig deeper, he thought, realizing words alone might not be enough. Caleb took a deep breath, pushing down his rising apprehension. Let us share what we're afraid of, he suggested, his voice steadying. What holds you back? The crowd fell silent, exchanging glances. It took a moment, but then a young man with tousled hair stepped forward, his voice shaking. I've tried before, I've poured everything into my dreams, only to watch them crumble. I'm scared of failing again. A wave of understanding swept through the crowd. Caleb's heart ached. This wasn't just fear. It was a shared experience, a mirror reflecting their most vulnerable selves. Another voice broke through a softer one, that of an elderly woman. I've lost my home. It feels impossible to stand again when you've already been knocked down. I'm frightened of never finding where I belong. Caleb stepped closer, empathy swirling through him. You're not alone. Not one of us is. The room hummed with murmurs of acknowledgement, stories leaking into the open. Each one wove a tapestry of struggle, yet it also stitched a fabric of community. People began standing, opening up about the burdens they carried. As the stories flowed, Caleb felt the atmosphere shift. The more they shared, the lighter the weight seemed to get. The young man, once racked with worry, began to nod as others echoed his feelings, each offer of support lighting their faces. What if we pooled our strengths? We could lift each other up, he proposed, excitement bubbling through the room. Caleb seized the opportunity, his heart racing. Yes, look at us. We're not just a crowd. We're a family. Together we can turn fears into strengths. The warmth of camaraderie enveloped them like a comforting blanket. For every story of fear, there emerged tales of resilience and hope. Tears turned into laughter. They spoke of dreams that once felt distant, now sparking with new energy. But even amid this outpouring of strength, Caleb felt the looming shadow of his rival. The man's sneer echoed in his mind, gnawing at the edges of their momentum. Are you ready to stand against the naysayers? He asked, voice clear as he scanned the crowd, searching for the flickering lights of doubt still lurking in a few eyes. This is our moment. If we bind together, there's nothing we can't achieve. A powerful roar erupted in response, the sound vibrating through Caleb's bones, igniting the fire within him again. He could feel the walls of doubt beginning to tumble. But just as the energy reached a crescendo, a figure appeared at the door. It was the rival. He leaned against the frame, arms crossed, reveling in the spectacle. Look at this, so touching. But how long before it all falls apart? The tension in the room flicked like a switch. Caleb's heart raced, anger bubbling within him. What did the rival know of their strength? Hear us the truth, Caleb shouted, staring down his rival. We may falter, but we will rise together. We will not be divided by doubt. The fervor in his voice rang true, rippling across the crowd like a great wave. Suddenly, a teenager piped up from the back, his voice loud and clear. If he thinks we're weak, let us show him just how strong we can be. Caleb could see agreement spark among the crowd. They were ready to face whatever came next. Yet as he stood there, confidence mingling with unease, his mind raced. Were they truly ready? What lay ahead? With a shaky breath, Caleb knew the battle was only about to begin, and their unity would face its first real test. Would they withstand the pressure, or would doubt rip the fabric of this fragile dream apart? As the rivalry simmered in the air, Caleb's heart expanded with fierce determination. Remember, it's in the struggle that we find our strength. And as the crowd rallied behind him, he felt the undeniable truth. The moment of reckoning was upon them, and it was time to rise unyielding and unafraid. What uncertainty awaited them next? And how would they stand when the winds of challenge blew their hardest? The air crackled with tension as Caleb locked eyes with his rival. The sneer on the man's face was like a dark cloud threatening to rain on their parade. But he could feel the pulse of courage swirling through the crowd. They were ready to confront whatever negativity was thrown their way. Together, Caleb declared, his voice rising, "We can be more than just words. We can be a force of nature." A chorus of agreement rippled through the audience, voices uniting in strength. The young man with tousled hair spoke again. "Let us organize. Let us create something that supports each other, that stands as a symbol of our resilience." Caleb felt the heat of enthusiasm swell. This was it, their moment to shift the narrative. With a smile, he turned to the crowd. "What if we form teams? A support network where we can help each other not only share our fears, but also celebrate our victories?" The excitement built like a fever dream. People began to clap, ideas flickering on faces like sparks in the dark. Caleb watched as connections ignited. A woman in the back shouted, "I can teach cooking," and another responded, "I have experience with budgeting." With each suggestion, the room transformed into a hub of creativity and resourcefulness. They weren't just facing their doubts. They were taking action. Caleb's heart swelled with pride. Together, they were creating a plan to reclaim their dreams. But the rival, still leaning casually against the wall, disrupted the moment. "What makes you think this will last?" he sneered. "A few speeches and dreams won't fill your bellies or pay your bills." The crowd went still, the specter of doubt creeping back in. Caleb could feel shoulders slumping, expressions dimming. For a brief moment it felt heavy again. Turn it back around, he thought, digging deep in to find the words that would lift them again. "What I need to say is powerful." He stepped forward, letting the fire in his heart fuel him. "Yes, right. But we're more than just what lies ahead of us. We are our hopes, our dreams, our accomplishments. We're more than just our struggles." Whispers broke out, uncertainty still clinging to the edges. "It's not just talk," Caleb continued, voice steady and filled with conviction. "We'll take each step we need to take. Even the tiniest steps matter." The crowd was leaning in. Caleb could see interest on their faces. "Let us turn this community into a powerhouse." A ripple of adrenaline surged through him. "Failed attempts will be our best teachers. We embrace them, learn, and grow. Together." The rival's sneer faltered, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. Caleb seized that moment. "You think we can't do it? Count us out? Then you're underestimating what we can achieve together." A shout broke out from the crowd, spinning those whispers into cheers. "Together, together." It resonated, rising up like the tide, crashing against the shores of doubt. Caleb felt momentum swell around him, wrapping him in confidence. They were transforming the narrative, they were becoming the authors of their own stories. But as the heat of the moment began to peak, Caleb's heart sank for a split second. Could all this energy be enough? Would they truly hold together against the challenges ahead? "Let us take steps now," he urged, seeing the determination on their faces. "What's our first goal? Who wants to lead our first meeting?" The hands shot up, hopes gleaming in their eyes. "Count me in," a voice called out. "I want to help organize." Just as Caleb began to feel the swell of unity solidifying, a faint, sinister laugh echoed from the doorway. The rival was still there, shadowy and unmoved. Caleb's stomach twisted. "Really?" the rival said, amusement dripping from his words. "You think you can stand together forever?" That laughter triggered a surge of defiance in him. Caleb's fists clenched, determination igniting. They were on the edge of something powerful, and no outside force would tear them down. With his heart hammering, Caleb knew they were about to confront their biggest test yet. Let us show ourselves that no one can extinguish. The fire we lit, and as the crowd rallied behind him, hearts aflame, Caleb felt the ground shift. A storm was brewing, ready to either tear them apart or make them stronger than ever. But as uncertainty throbbed between hope and fear, he questioned, were they truly ready to face what lay ahead? The crowd surged forward, a wave of hope and adrenaline. Caleb felt the heat radiate from their bodies, the electricity sparking between them. But the rival, still lurking at the door like a dark shadow, lingered in Caleb's mind. Each sneer felt like an obstacle, a reminder of how easily things could fall apart. "Let us not wait for tomorrow," Caleb shouted, shaking off the doubt. "We can start now." He raised a fist and the energy in the room climbed higher. "Let us channel this moment. Who's in for planning our first meetup?" Quick responses flooded the air. "I can handle communications," a woman with bright blue glasses exclaimed, determination lighting her eyes. "I'll set up a Facebook group," shouted another, barely containing excitement. The buzz wrapped around Caleb like a warm blanket. They were in it together, each person stepping forward to claim their part. He would not let fear overshadow their potential. Caleb's mind raced. Ideas were sprouting like weeds. What about hosting workshops to share skills? We can learn from each other, connect even deeper. He glanced at those gathered, searching for any flicker of doubt and finding none. They were ready. But as the voices rose in agreement, Caleb felt a chill brush past him as the rival shifted closer. "What if one of you fails? What if someone doesn't pull their weight?" The sneer returned like a gust of wind, snuffing a candle flame. Caleb swallowed hard. "We'll catch each other. Together we'll stand firm even if some stumble." His voice broke but didn't shatter, the sincerity breaking through all barriers. "We're not here to walk alone. We're building a lifeline." Suddenly, an older gentleman near the back stood with a shaky hand. "I don't know much, but I have life experience I'd like to share. I could help mentor a few of you. Maybe that can help steer you in the right direction." A wave of warmth spread through the space, the kind that wrapped around weary hearts like a long-lost friend. Caleb grinned, breathing a sigh of relief at the support. "Yes, that's it. We have the old, the young, and everyone in between. Each voice adds to this symphony." Caleb leaned into the moment, giving the crowd a chance to build on it, to shape it with their collective stories. Then came the awkward silence again when the rival leaned in. "You'll fall apart the moment someone doesn't want to show up. Don't you see that?" The room dimmed for half a heartbeat. Caleb locked eyes with the rival, feeling every grasp of insecurity attempting to creep back in. But then he remembered the warmth, the laughter, the shared dreams they were building. "Even if some of us don't show up, we have a plan. We'll connect digitally, physically, emotionally," Caleb responded fiercely. "Can your words blanket over the smell of failure? No, but our determination. That's a fire that can burn through anything." The rival scoffed, but Caleb could see cracks forming in that icy demeanor. He sensed a doubt in the man. Maybe they really were getting somewhere. "Let us do this." Caleb fired up the energy again. "Tomorrow morning we meet, we plan. We turn dreams into achievable goals." Together, the crowd erupted. Cheers, claps, laughter surged through the room. Suddenly Caleb could see the path widening before him, filled with possibilities. But even amid the excitement, questions tumbled in his mind. What if their fire was just a flicker waiting to be snuffed out? What if they couldn't hold together as doubts crept in? As excitement washed over him, a knot formed in his gut. This was just the beginning of an uphill climb, but he was determined to reach the summit with them. He took a deep breath, summoning every last ounce of bravery. "We're just getting started. When we come together, we can silence any doubt." Caleb's heart pounded. They were about to step off the edge of a dream. Would they find a way to navigate through the impending storms? Or would they buckle under pressure? Tomorrow they would gather. Tomorrow they would truly begin. But for now, all he could do was let the thrill of hope wash over him, waiting to discover what the morning would bring. Caleb stood at the heart of the bustling community center, the echoes of yesterday's doubts still haunting the corners of his mind. The sun streamed through the windows, illuminating the faces of those who had pledged their loyalty and passion to dream with him. Today was the day they transformed aspirations into a tangible reality. "Let us make this happen," he said, his voice steady as he looked out over the crowd. "Today we're not just sharing ideas. We're creating a roadmap for our dreams." The energy surged around him. People were energized, coming together like a storm ready to break free. Caleb felt a warmth rising inside him, a fire kindled by unity and hope. They split into groups, each person diving into tasks, laughter and chatter filling the air like a beautiful symphony. The once haunted room now thrummed with determination. Caleb watched as ideas materialized into plans, tables filled with sketches of designs for the marketplace, lists outlining workshops, and timelines for community events. Yet, the specter of doubt still loomed. That rival, the wolf, hadn't disappeared. Caleb could feel it, lurking, waiting to pounce. He pressed it down. Today was about action, not fear. Remember, he called out. Even when challenges come, we hold together. When one falters, we lift them up. This is about all of us. As if on cue, the whispers of encouragement rippled through the crowd. Each voice intertwined with the others. We believe. Yes, we can do this. Caleb noticed a young boy, his hands trembling as he drew a community garden plan. The lines shaky but filled with passion. What if we grow food together? He suggested, eyes wide with hope. For everyone. Yes, Caleb exclaimed, empowered by the boy's enthusiasm. That's exactly what our marketplace can represent, a place where we support each other. We can host cooking classes, share our harvests. It's perfect. The crowd erupted into applause, but Caleb's heart raced as he glanced sideways toward the back of the room. His rival had entered. Arms crossed, he leaned against the wall, observing and plotting. Don't let his negativity seep in, Caleb reminded himself, pushing aside any lingering doubt. The gathering resumed, now marked by an air of unity and resolve. Yet as the days passed and excitement steadily mounted, whispers of sabotage crept into the atmosphere. Caleb learned that his rival was attempting to turn the community against him, spreading rumors undercutting their blossoming plans. This was it. Today we face him, he declared during a meeting, determination surging through him. We'll show the community how strong we can be together, not just in dreams, but in action. The sentiment spread as hearts ignited with purpose. The crowd was ready, and together, they drafted a plan, hosting a marketplace launch festival. They would invite local vendors, showcase talents, and reaffirm their commitment to communal growth. This was their stand against fear. Silence fell as Caleb realized the weight of it all. A deep breath escaped him, and a gentle reflection passed over the crowd, a flicker of vulnerability. Would they truly stand as a family when the wave of skepticism threatened to land? Days later, as the day of the festival arrived, Caleb felt the exhilarating pressure of expectation. The air was electric with excitement, the community alive with chatter. Colorful banners flapped in the breeze, a celebratory energy wrapping around him like a hug. Yet as the celebration gained momentum, Caleb spied his rival near the entrance, with a few doubtful faces surrounding him. Caleb squared his shoulders. He could feel the instinct to retreat but pushed it aside. This was the moment to act. Listen, he called, amplifying his voice over the joyous noise. Today we celebrate what we have achieved collectively, despite the fears we faced. Doubt will not strangle our dreams. It will only enhance our strength. He stepped toward the rival, who wore a dark scowl. You think you can tear us down? Caleb challenged. Look around. The seeds of our dreams have been planted. We are nurturing them together. The crowd surged behind him, hearts beating as one, united in defiance. Caleb felt the fire spread. They rallied, every single voice in support. Each cheer and clap felt like warmth, shielding them from the negativity. Let us prove him wrong. A voice shouted from the front. The heat intensified, and Caleb didn't hesitate. Step forward. All of you, he called, drawing people into a huddle behind him. Together, we rise, and together, we stand. Each member of the community wrapped their arms around each other, so tightly knit that not even doubt could sever their connection. The rival glared, eyes flickering in frustration, but Caleb noticed a twinkle of uncertainty in his expression. Strength lies in unity. Another voice piped up, and an avalanche of agreement swept through the audience. The tension broke, and the rival shrank, the smirk fading. As Caleb looked out to the community before him, bright faces, bright dreams, something shifted inside him. They were no longer identified by their struggles but were champions of their ideals. The Marketplace Festival thrived, a powerful beacon of hope. Days turned into weeks. The marketplace flourished, a living testament to his vision and the support of his new family. Each vendor, each product told a story of resilience and unity. Caleb felt himself transform from the broke kid to a leader, an advocate, and most importantly, a friend. On the final day of the festival, Caleb stood at the center stage. The crowd hushed, anticipation thick in the air. Today we've seen the power of our dreams, he began. Together, we delivered not only a vision but a home for our creativity, hope, and collaboration. We may have faced setbacks, some may even arrive in the future, but we will rise, renewed every time. Because we are family. Cheers erupted, loud and jubilant, fortifying Caleb's heart. They had embarked on a journey forged from rejection, risen from the ashes, and built a legacy rooted in compassion and courage. Caleb realized in that moment his dreams and those of his community were intertwined, and together, they were unstoppable. As the festival continued, he felt tears of joy prick at the corners of his eyes. With each laugh, each shout, each new idea that was exchanged, his spirit soared. They had not only breathed life into a marketplace, they had ignited a movement. It was a beautiful new chapter, with possibilities that stretched beyond himself alone. The broken chain had been mended, and Caleb looked to the future, ready for whatever challenge awaited. As he stepped down from the stage, the laughter and cheers filled the air, a vibrant tapestry, woven by heartfelt dreams and fierce devotion. This was just the beginning, and Caleb knew it. But now it was time for you to act. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss our next incredible journey. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to help our community grow, and share your own thoughts and feelings in the comments below. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this story of transformation. Together, we can spread hope and inspire countless others.